Good morning. The Committee on Parole is called to order. Today is January 31st of 2023. The time is 8:39. Members of the panel today are Ms. Pearl Wise, Mr. Pete Freeman. My name is Tony Marabella, and I'll be acting as chair today. Support staff located here at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge are
John Coltrane.
Gail Kieran.
our remote location this morning is Elaine Hunt Correctional Center with the staff at Elaine Hunt. Please introduce themselves.
Good morning, Warden Donnie Gordon. Joe Buttress, Assistant Warden.
Thank you. Our first case this morning is going to be Rossie Givens. Mr. Givens, would you please give us your full name and DOC number?
Rossie Givens, 376852.
And you have your attorney, Ms. Myers, with you this morning. Ms. Myers, if you'll make an appearance for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Amy Myers, and I'm a staff attorney with Louisiana Parole Project.
Thank you very much. Mr. Givens, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then we're going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow those persons who've indicated they wish to speak to have their input. Currently, you have speaking today. Obviously, your attorney, Ms. Myers, will be speaking after you speak. Mr. Kerry Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project is here. Here also, but not speaking, is Raquel Spikes, who is your cousin, Darrell Jones Jr., who is a friend, and Eric Givens, who is a cousin. We also have here in opposition, here at headquarters, Ms. Denisha Deloach, who will likewise be speaking in opposition. And at the end of that, you'll be allowed to make a presentation, and then Ms. Myers will close out. Do you understand our process?
Yes, sir.
Rossie Givens, DOC number 376852, date of birth October the 1st of 1978. He's classified as a first-time felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of April 13th, 2021. He is not entitled to good time, and his full term date was life. He was charged with on January 13th of 1997. He was sentenced to for attempted manslaughter and second-degree murder, given a life sentence plus 20 years. Is all of that accurate, Mr. Givens?
Yes, sir.
Givens, your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. Mr. Freeman will begin our question. Would you answer any questions he may have?
Good morning, Mr. How old are you currently?
44 years old.
Okay. And how long have you served on this sentence?
26 years and about 7 months.
So how old that made you at the time of the offense?
16.
What's your educational level?
I've been working on my GED, but I have a learning disorder that does not allow me to get my GED, specifically in math. But I've been in school since I've been here and working on trying to get my GED, but I just can't get past that math. The math is giving me a problem. I'm seeing numbers backwards. I read numbers different ways. It's a form of dyslexia from what I'm understanding.
Okay. Walk me through the day of that parade. Walk me from the time you got up to the time this offense occurred. What was going on?
Well, I actually didn't have intention on going to the parade that day. I knew of the parade, and I kind of waited till like the last moments to go. And once I made it to the parade, I got there. There was a lot of people going on. The parade had kind of ended, and me and some of my friends were standing up there talking, and a guy passed by, and one of my friends, they passed words, so they started arguing. And at that point, when they started to argue things, my friend handed me a gun to hold because it wasn't really supposed to be a gun involved. You know, they just was gonna fight. So they was fighting, and I was standing there watching them fight. As the fight went on, the guy was getting the best of my friend, so I hit him. I hit him one time, and I stood back, and I started watching them fight again. As they was fighting, now this time, here somebody grabbed me and threw me to the ground. When I got to the ground, I felt somebody kicking me and punching me. So I was kind of like rolling back and forth on the ground, trying to dodge, like, and then I pulled a gun out and I shot and I killed David Knight. And I shot Gerard Thomas. And after I shot the gun, I dropped it and I ran off. I went home and I told my mom what happened.
All right. Were there any drugs, alcohol involved?
No, sir, I hadn't used it in that day, but I did smoke marijuana during those times, but I hadn't used anything that morning.
How old were you when you began smoking marijuana?
About 12, 13 years old.
Did you ever receive any treatment for it?
Not until I came to prison. When I came to prison, then I started going through rehabilitation program. I was still using when I first came to prison. I was going through a lot, and there's no excuse, but I was still using at the time. And then when I started going through these programs, I eventually, kind of slowed up, but I was still using. And then God changed me. When God did something to me and changed, I got away from it. And I just kept on going to the programs, substance abuse programs and other classes. It wasn't just substance abuse that helped me get away from it. It was other classes that I was doing that helped me.
And how did you get that gun? Was it your gun, friend's gun, or what?
My friend gave me the gun when I got there. I didn't bring a gun to the parade. When I got there, when they got into the argument, it was like it wasn't gonna be no gun involved. And he just gave me the gun like a hold. So when they started fighting, that's when the gun got involved, when the guy grabbed me, but my friend gave me the gun that day. And that's something that I didn't say at trial. And I'm saying it now for the first time because that's the truth, and I feel like that would need to be said today.
And did you know Mr. Knighton or Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, I actually played with Mr. Knighton when we was growing up, and I never seen him no more. Like when we got older, we went to elementary school together, and after that, I never really seen him in the streets, so I knew he wasn't really like a bad person. And I didn't really know Mr. Thomas. I never had met him before.
I see you've taken several classes since you've been over at Hunt. Tell me about a couple of the classes that you learned the most from.
Well, the first class that stick out the most to me is Thinking for a Change. I helped co-facilitate with Colonel Lindsay. And it taught me how to think in a moment. Like it really gave me a sense of direction of when I'm in something to just kind of just look at it from outside of what's going on. So that class that really stuck out to me. And also victim impact. Victim impact showed me all the different effects that I caused to victims, into my community. And hospice is another one that I enjoyed.
Hey, tell me what kind of impact you did think you did cause the victim's family and your community.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say I'm sorry to the Knighton family for what happened that day. I caused a lot of pain because it was a public parade. It's somewhere everybody goes. They go regularly. It's a small community, and a lot of us know each other. My family is from out of that community, and I disrupted that, and I made people in the family have to choose sides of which side of the family they wanted to, support. And I also did that to the community. I did something to the community that had never been done before. And I'm really sorry for what I did that day.
Okay. You have opposition from the DA, the judge, and the sheriff, which is normal. Mr. Thomas, one of the victims, is unopposed. And the daughter of Mr. Knighton is opposed, and we'll hear from her later. Are you currently in any programs?
Yeah, I facilitate programs now. I'm taking a trauma class right now that I'm taking, and I'm on parole hearing class, and I also do a tough mind toughness class that I do.
What is going to be your transition plan if you were to get out? Where you gonna go?
Well, I've been hearing so much about the parole project, and they helping me out thus far. So I really have a lot of hopes of getting with them and seeing what they have lined up. They say they have jobs lined up, but outside of that, I have one of my childhood friends that's willing to give me a job. Working with them in construction, something I can do hands-on. But I would like to go to the parole project and start right there with them and continue my transition. And from there, I plan to go stay with my cousin. She stay out in Brownsville, and that's like, on a different side of the parish from where there's crime happening, away from all that area. So I think that, it'll be the best thing for me to do is get a new start in another area.
You had 39 write-ups, 27 years. Your last was in 2017. What changed? What made you quit getting all of those write-ups?
God changed me. I've been going to some programs and they do help, but I just have found something, during that hospice. I just didn't know I had that type of streak in me to help other people like I do. And I just always did go to church. My dad always taught me about God, and supported me. My stepmom supported me very strongly in my religion. And I just used that, to change.
Hey, you have some great recommendations of support from Warden Jewell, Warden Hooper, a lot of the Hunt staff, more than we're used to getting. Do you think you're a changed man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't think I'm the same 16-year-old that committed this crime. I understand that I caused a lot of pain, and I understand the direction that I'm going in now.
Out of curiosity, how often were you smoking dope when you was on the street?
I was smoking regular. Regular. I had a problem.
Well, do you feel you still got a problem? I mean, an addict is an addict.
Yeah, once an addict, always an addict. Yes, sir. I still believe that it can happen if I live it.
Okay, I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Warden, can you tell us anything about Mr. Givens?
Yes, sir. Mr. Marabella, my heart goes out to the family and the victims. But I can tell you that, from listening to the staff here and from watching him facilitate some of the classes that I've seen him facilitate, he's become a role model and a leader inside this community here at Hunt. And I feel like he's helped himself to become a better man, and he's helping others to become better men every day. I've seen it myself.
Thank you, Warden. Appreciate your comments. Ms. Wise.
Good morning, Mr. Givens. How's it going? How's it going?
I'm all right, a little nervous, but I'm all right.
Good. I read somewhere that you said that both of your older brothers were killed. Tell us a little bit about that. And I am sorry for your loss, I am.
Thank you, ma'am. You wanna know about the incident or how they died?
Yeah.
Well,
You said killed, you didn't say died, so that's why.
yes, ma'am, you're correct. My first brother got, killed. It was, he was messing with two girls and one of them got jealous, found out about the other one, I guess, and she, found out where he was staying at with the lady and went around into his apartment and called him out and they started arguing and stuff. And I don't, from what I understand, I don't believe he knew that the girl had a gun and she pulled a gun out and shot him in his chest.
How old was he?
He was, I was just getting in this, I was about 17. So he was about 23, 24 years old.
I'm sorry for that. Oh, sorry for your loss. And your other brother?
And my other brother, he was seeing a girl and the brother or the girl's sister boyfriend decided that he was gonna rob him and waited on him and held him at gunpoint and took him all the way to the levee and shot him. He was down on his knees and he had his hands up, shot him through his hand into his face or his chest area somewhere and killed him and tied him up and threw him into the river with some weights.
So you have really been through it during this time, huh?
Yes, ma'am, but God is good.
Yes, yes. Oh, okay. And I saw on the record that you've been a Class D trustee since 2019. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Trustees in 2019. And then you've been a hospice volunteer since 2012.
Yes, ma'am.
Speak to us a little bit about what you do in hospice.
Oh, well, hospice, we sit with guys that's dying.
I don't know what you do.
What I do? Yeah, well, I sit with guys. I have to go make rounds over there and get familiar with them. Some of them might not actually be dying today, but they going in that direction. So we have to build like a relationship with them. And I already had worked in the hospital at one point doing healthcare. So, just go over there, build a relationship with them, change the bed, talk with them, maybe write a letter, make a phone call, fill out a store list. And then on the other end, when they already are at the end of their journey, you have to sit with them, you have to change their wound, the nurses and stuff change their wound. They wear Pampers, so we have to do that and monitor them, so, and then you also have to build a relationship with their family if they're coming in here to be able to say, somebody might say, man, what's really going on with my brother, and they really want to know what's going on, and how they got in that position, so kind of build a relationship with them, and if they pass away, I have to clean them up and put them in a body bag. I have done funerals, went outside the gate and went out and spoke on behalf of, the guys and from us from the prison.
Right. Well, thank you for your service today. I appreciate that. That's all I had, Jim.
Thank you, Ms. Rice. Now we'll hear from your supporters of Mr. Kerry Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project. Good morning, Mr. Myers.
Good morning, Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. Parole Project has been working with Mr. Givens now for some time, recognizing that he's been waiting for this hearing, mainly because, as he said earlier, he's been struggling with his GED. However, and you'll notice in your report, despite the fact that he has a learning disability, he's excelled exceptionally in things in trade and vocational areas, construction management, OSHA 30, construction safety. The other thing I think that stands out about him is his service. Not only has he taken classes, he facilitates classes. He's a hospice volunteer. This is not a 16-year-old child who was easily influenced, who was immature, and who made a tragic decision. This is a mature man who has worked very hard to be who he is today. Parole Project understands that and is completely prepared to support his transition. Despite the fact that he's accomplished all these things, he's been incarcerated. He's been incapacitated for a long time, and we understand that. That is exactly what we're here to do, and we're going to provide our services, our programs, and our mentorship to help him through the transition, to recognize the world he'll be coming into, and to do all the getting connected to all the services and walking through all the steps that he needs in a transition. Just based on his presentation today and his maturity, we just feel like he's an excellent candidate, and we ask this board to grant his parole today.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Appreciate your comments. I will now hear from the opposition, Ms. Denisha DeLoach. Ms. DeLoach, up to that podium, if you would, please. Just introduce yourself and tell us what you would like us to know. Morning.
Okay.
That's okay. Take your time.
I am with honestly, I mean, no, you really my God, to get this safe for me about 6 minutes. I don't think it's fair that he has a chance to get out at my father is yeah, I understand and he's done. That's fine, but you took it about his father, son, brother. I can't. I mean, that's pretty big. I don't know that. I would have loved that, but it's different way. Yeah, I mean, it's very easy. And she also asking me, we had a discussion, it's very good. It's not like this. And she did write that we had statement, and she just like to take it to consideration words that she's.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeLoach. We appreciate your comments. Mr. Gibbons, is there anything you would like to say before we turn it over to Ms. Myers to close out for us?
Yes, sir. I would like to apologize again to the Knighton family and say that I'm sorry for what I did that day. But I also would like to say that David didn't do me anything to deserve for me to take his life that day. There wasn't no argument or no confrontation that we had that made that happen. Also, again, I'd like to apologize to Gerard Thomas for shooting, and I'd like to apologize to the community of West Baton Rouge Parish too also. And I'd like to thank y'all for this opportunity today for this hearing. I'm not the same person that I was when I was 16 years old. I'm truly sorry for taking David's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. Ms. Myers?
Thank you, Mr. Mirabella. Mr. Gibbons has spent almost 27 years working hard to make amends for this serious crime that he committed in 1995. As Mr. Freeman noted, Mr. Gibbons is supported by numerous Hunt correctional staff here who know him well and have seen the transformation in him over the years. Mr. Gibbons is supported by the surviving victim in his application, and you would have seen in his application that that is so. He said himself that the killing of David was not premeditated, and he does believe that Mr. Givens has completed enough time for this offence. There's no question that Mr. Givens was making very poor decisions and acting impulsively on that terrible day in 1995. But that is not the man who's standing before you today. There is law enforcement opposition, I understand, Mr. Freeman, but inside the packet that I submitted, there is a letter from the prosecutor who prosecuted this case back in 1995. And he actually does believe that Mr. Givens has done his time with grace and that he's not the same person today. He's transformed his life through sincere faith in God and his hospice work and extensive DOC programming. He's become a man that his community and his family can be proud of, but this will never undo the pain that the Knighton family holds. And I join Mr. Givens in feeling intense sorrow for the anguish that they still feel. In conclusion, Mr. Givens understands he can never undo these actions, but he is rehabilitated and he's been humbled through this prison sentence that he's now completing. I pray that you grant Mr. Givens parole today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers.
First off, Mr. Loach, thank you so much for showing up today. Takes a lot of courage and we appreciate it. So I'm glad. Givens, you've done well in prison. There's just no doubt about it. You've done a very good job. You know, you've helped others. You know, you dedicated yourself to hospice, which is a tough thing to do. Those things are appreciated by the prison community. Thing is, you know, you were 16 when you did this. Horrible act. You shot two people that I don't believe either one of them were jumping on you. I think they were more trying to break up a fight than they were trying to be involved in the fight. But you were 16 years old. You have grown up. So my vote today is going to be to grant special conditions, no contact whatsoever with the victim or their families. I want you on electronic monitoring for the first year with a curfew of 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I want a substance abuse evaluation, Mr. Myers. I think y'all can help him with that. And I want him to follow any treatment. You were using drugs pretty heavy at that time. And that's my vote today. Thank you.
And Mr. Givens, I do want to say this before I vote. Yesterday, we had a case, and hear me now, hear me well. It took her 23 years to get her high second. And she never quit and she never stopped. I just want to put that out there. But she got it. This is a difficult case. Like you said, you were 16. You did a great harm. And I like how you even recognize the impact of what you did at a Mardi Gras parade and how it changed your community. That spoke volumes to me. You became aware of how you impacted your community. But you healed yourself and then you start helping. And that's all I can ask. So my vote is to grant as well. I concur with the special conditions that's been set forth. With the added special conditions, about 3 months, give you 6 months after you release, do 10 hours a month of community service in some manner to repair the harm in the community. That's what your community service is for. 10 hours after 6 months of being released. You can figure it out. And in that 10 hours, if you have to go buy something, you have to prepare something, all that counts for you 10 hours. Best wishes to you, sir.
Thank you, Miles.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Mr. Givens, this is a very difficult case. Ms. DeLoach was here and she expressed what happened. There are always consequences to crimes. And she grew up without a father. If there was some way by my denying you getting out would bring your father back, I'd do it in a second. That's not life. That's a fantasy. All crimes are hard. All crimes have consequences. Our job and our role as a parole member is to see who you are and what you've accomplished since. The good news is that the crime doesn't necessarily define the person. Sometimes it does. In your case, I think it doesn't. You had a very difficult upbringing. I have a son who has special needs. I am aware of the concerns and the problems with your dyslexia. My experience with dyslexic people is that they're very intelligent. They just have a problem with the letters and the numbers being changed. And that comes through with all of the other things that you've been able to accomplish. Based upon all of the things that my colleague said and all the accomplishments, my vote likewise would be to grant you parole today. With the conditions as outlined by my colleague. And those conditions are that you have no contact whatsoever with the victim. You have electronic monitoring for the first year, and that you be under a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Substance abuse evaluation and follow treatment through the parole project and go through the parole project's program. I would like to add 3 AA meetings per week for the first 6 months, and whatever else is recommended after that. They want you to continue to do that. I'm going to suggest you do. You have been drug-free for quite some time now, but you're still an addict, and I think it's important that you do that. In addition to that, finally, as Ms. Wise has suggested, 10 hours of community service per month after you have been out for 6 months. That's the ruling today. Parole has been granted. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Well, what did you think? Can you imagine? He's locked up since he was 16. That's a long time. It's not the first case we've seen where a 16-year-old got this type of sentence. And then there's a lot to unpack here. The story of his 2 brothers, holy cow. I mean, imagine growing up in that reality where death is just all around you. Where life is just so cheap. It was interesting that he said that he had only pulled out the weapon, or no, that his friend had given him the weapon, and that he hadn't said that even at his own trial, which might make sense. I believe it, right? I guess there would be like a whole snitch issue. So it's believable. I don't think he had much to gain by just making it up here at the hearing. But again, does it change anything? I don't think so. What Miss Wise was referring to is the person who had taken like 25 years to get her GED. We did that hearing the other day. Maybe I'll put it up here somewhere. That was, what was it, Desi R. Tucker? Also, the dyslexia thing. I'm diagnosed dyslexic, by the way. I'm severely learning disabled. And in that sense, I can relate to, I've never had a passing report card in my life. I can't pass a test. I mean, I have passed tests, but I never had a passing report card. I failed through school horribly. I'm not even sure if my diagnosis is correct though, because I don't carry. I have had. I've been in special ed, so I have had friends that were like severely dyslexic that literally could not read a street sign. So I've seen firsthand what at least severe dyslexia is, and I can read, no problem. So it could be a misdiagnosis, but I'm definitely learning disabled, and it's easy to tell someone is learning disabled. Sure, you can figure it out. Some people just aren't meant to do tests. It doesn't mean you're not intelligent, but you're just not. Your mind just doesn't work that way. That's just my opinion based on my experience. I couldn't hear what the victim said, so it's hard. But, you know, at 16 and growing up the way he did, man, I think he deserves a second chance. I do. Also, was she English, the attorney, English or Australian? I'm sure we'll have our friends from abroad tell us which accent, but that's a first for us too. I don't know. I think people just sound so much smarter when they have a British accent. It's is that just me? But when I hear British accent, everything just sounds better from a British accent. I think it's a great advantage. If I was British, moved to the US, I think it helps a lot. Yeah, I don't really have much more to add. I tried finding the case on the internet. I couldn't find it. If anyone can, please, do your thing and I'll post it. But with that, I'll let you go.